Liking this video will help this channel to grow. So please go ahead and give this video a like.
Continuing from section 3 of our lesson on non-right angle triangles, in this section we'll be calculating unknown angles using the cosine rule. We will be using the formula for length that we explored in the last upload. However, we'll be rearranging the formula to make the angle the subject of the formula. So guys, let's get started. To use the cosine rule to calculate an unknown angle, we must know all three sides of our non-right angled triangle. So just to diagrammatically qualify that, let's say for example we're given the triangle ABC. We must know all three sides. As you can see here, we've got 6, 9 and 10, and we're asked to find the unknown angle at A. We can only do this with the cosine rule once we have all the three sides of this triangle. Beautiful. Now, in our previous section, we looked at finding the unknown lengths using the cosine rule, and we knew that the formula was a squared equal b squared plus c squared, minus 2bc cos A. Now, we can substitute directly into this formula and then find A. So we would substitute all the things we know and then work for the unknown. However, because we've got a knowledge of rearranging formula, we could just rearrange this formula to make cos A the subject, and then we would just use that straight formula just for finding the unknown angle, which is what I'm going to do. So let's rearrange. A squared equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos A to make cos A the subject. Now, it's important to note here that minus 2bc cos A is all together as 1. So what we're going to do, we're going to try to make cos A the subject by putting minus 2bc cos A on the other side and a squared on the other side. Now, importantly, remember, when we change sides, we also change the signs as well. So therefore, I'm going to have, instead of minus 2bc cos A, it will now be positive 2bc cos A on the other side is equal to, on this side we've got b squared plus c squared left. This positive a squared will now be minus a squared on the other side. So we can see we're on our way to getting cos A to be the subject. All we need to now do is divide both sides by 2bc. So all of this is being divided by 2bc. Now 2bc cancels out here, leaving us with just cos A equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared, all being divided by 2bc. There we've got it. So what we need to do now is, once we're given an unknown angle to find and we've got to use the cosine rule, we can just write straight away that cos A is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared divided by 2bc. So I'm just going to allow you now to pause the video and write this down. So the cosine rule for angles states that cos A is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared, all divided by 2bc. Pause the video, write that down. Remember now, it is very important to note which side is A, B, and C so that we substitute properly into that equation, or that formula rather. Lovely. So once you've gotten this down, now we're ready to take two examples. So in the first example, we're asked here to work out the size of angle X. We look at the triangle, we're told it's not drawn accurately. This means I cannot use a protractor to measure angle X. So therefore, I check, do I know all three sides of this triangle? And the answer is yes. So therefore, I'm just going to write my formula out again. Even though I've got it here, I like to write and then substitute into it. So cos A my angle would be equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared, all divided by 2bc. So again, important to label correctly. So the angle I want to find is A, which means that the opposite side is little a. Now I'm just going to label this side B and C. Now that I've done all my labels, I'm just going to substitute that into the formula. So x here is my angle, so instead of A, I'm going to say cos x will be equal to B is 20, so I've got to do 20 squared, plus C is 19, 19 squared. Take away A squared, and A is 13, so that's 13 squared. All of that now is being divided by 2 times B, which is 20. Put that in bracket, multiply by C, which is 19. Now from here, all I need to do is to substitute this into my calculator. So let's go. So I'm going to press my fraction button to get my denominator and numerator in. So in my numerator, I'm going to put 20 squared plus 19 squared minus 13 squared. In my denominator, I'll put 2 times 20 times by 19. Go across and press equal. So cos x then is equal to, I've got 0.778947368. Now please note, this is not my answer. My angle cannot be 0 point something. It's got to be a whole number. So I've got here cos x. I need to do the opposite of cos, which is cos inverse. So therefore, x would be equal to cos inverse of my answer I've got. So I'm just going to write a few digits, put some dots here to show that it's the same number that's being copied there. And then I've saved my answer into the calculator, so I don't have to type it all in. Now I'm just going to do shift cos to bring up my inverse function, and then press ans. That now brings back the answer I have stored, and I'm going to write my answer to 1 decimal place. So shift cos inverse here will give me 38.8 degrees to 1 decimal place. So remember, I cannot get 0 point something. This is a cue for you to know that I'm not finished. I now need to do the inverse of that cos function. And if you'd watch the sections on the sine inverse, where we had to find an unknown angle using the sine rule, we also had to do the inverse of sine to get the answer for the angle. Absolutely brilliant here. So now we're going to do our second example, and then it will be time for our key takeaways. So in this example, we're asked to work out the size of angle x again, not drawn accurately. We observe our diagram, we note we've got all 3 sides of the triangle, which means we're ready to label our diagram and also substitute into our formula. Now, a good practice when you're learning something new, always write your formula out as many times as it takes for each question until you know the formula. So let's go. Cos A is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared, all being divided by 2bc. So again, my angle is what I'm finding at A. Therefore, I'm going to label that A. Matching side to that, little a is 20. Then I've got B, then I've got C. So let's substitute now. So cos, the angle I'm finding is x, so replacing A for x. I'm now going to replace B for 25 here. So it's 25 squared plus C for 17. 17 squared, take away A squared, which is 20 squared. And then I'm dividing all of that by 2 times by B, which is 25, times by C, which is 17. So all I need to do now is to put all of this into my calculator. So let's go. So I'm going to do cos x will be equal to, I'm going to press my fraction button. I'm going to do in my numerator 25 squared plus 17 squared minus 20 squared. In my denominator, it will be 2 times 25 times 17. Go across, press equal. I now have 0.6047058824. Again, I can just save this as an answer in my calculator. Now, one final step to do. X will then be equal to the inverse of cos, so cos inverse of the answer here, which is 0.60470 ... just to show I'm copying the numbers from the previous step. So I've saved this as an answer. So now I'm just going to do shift cos to get my inverse up, and then ans. So that's the answer stored. Gonna write my answer here to 1 decimal place. So I've got 52.8 degrees to 1 decimal place. Now guys, you can see how easy that is once we know our formula and we know how to label our triangle accurately. Remember, cos A is the angle we are finding. The matching side on our triangle will be the little a that we are squaring at the end of the formula here. It's very dangerous if we don't label correctly. It will result in an incorrect answer. Very beautiful. Now, what we know is that we can always rewind this, just watch these examples again, and also source other questions, which you will find me do on my TikTok page as well, just to do some exam style question. Now, guys, it's time for our key takeaways. Beautiful. Now, we have discussed that in order to use the cosine rule to find an unknown angle on a non-right angle triangle, we must know all 3 sides of the triangle. We must know all 3 sides. We also talked about the fact that we know this cosine rule for finding an unknown length. We could substitute directly into that and then try to make cos A the subject. However, using our knowledge of rearranging formula, we have rearranged, and we've rearranged to get that cos A will always be equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared, all divided by 2bc. Also talked about the importance of making sure that we label A, B, and C correctly on our diagram, and also substituting them correctly into the formula to ensure we get the correct answer. Absolutely brilliant. Now guys, the next step from here will be to look at the area of non-right angled triangles and what formula do we use. Absolutely brilliant. So make sure that you know your sine rule for length, your sine rule for angle, your cosine rule for length, and your cosine rule for angles. Hit that notification bell if you haven't done so yet. Share the video. Make sure you follow us on TikTok as well so you can get access to exam style questions. Guys, thank you so much for watching.